we import now over 90% of seafood we eat. Over 90% of shrimp we eat is imported, so it became a lot harder to compete with world market prices. And the reason I say that, though, is because last year we only had about 212 licenses in the state of Georgia. So in the past 15, 20 years, we've seen significant changes. And it's not just with imports. We also have what's called grain of the fleet. Like farming, you're not seeing a lot of your younger generations getting into the industry, and a lot of times it's multi-generational. You know, they didn't go to school to necessarily a shrimper. Their father did it, their grandfather, their uncle. Well, now they realize it's just getting too hard. There's regulations to keep up the boat. They're not making these boats anymore. That's another thing too. If we were to buy a new boat for ourselves to meet Coast Guard regulations, it would easily be in the millions of dollars. So most of the boats you see out here on Georgia's coast or around the Gulf of Mexico would probably be on the average 40, 50 years old. So this one was actually built in 1977, so we're a little bit under that. Actually built out in St. Augustine, which was a major shrimp building. Really, that was kind of the epicenter for the fleet. And if you really look at the modern shrimping fleet these days, Northeast Florida, Southeast Georgia, a lot of Portuguese immigrants. I mean, that really was the epicenter of our modern shrimping fleet. And of course, it spread to other locations. But as far as the industry itself, yeah, we've seen a significant decline. There's also a lot of regulations too, but back in the 80s, a major issue was bycatch, that non-targeted, which we'll see bycatch today. But one particular species of concern was sea turtles. So for a long time in the 80s, there was a lot of... Yeah, that wasn't the paper plane for once. That was Mother Nature at its finest.
That's bird poop we smell. From Bird Isle over there.
They're finding big sharks too.
Yeah, I would imagine the pickings would be good over there just because you're not supposed to go over them.
That's kind of gutsy to do it in broad daylight like that.
Maybe they're from some other state, Florida or something. Don't know any
They
different.
parked right by the sign that says you're not supposed to go.
They can't read English.
They're tied up.
They'll say they can't read English. No English.
Yeah, tells him this is where shrimp is fixing to happen. He's going to be here.
Yeah. Especially with the boats not going out as much, they
Oh,
try
yeah.
to find it as much as they can.
Only gonna do it for about 15, but the whole purpose of a tri-net from the fishermen is just that. Test the water, try it. You know, and they'll have their big nets out, but if they're not getting a lot of shrimp, they'll change course. If they're getting a lot of shrimp from the tri-net, they're gonna stay course.
It's me behind you.
Oh, that's okay.
No, you're fine.
what's called the Georgia Seafood Directory. So it's voluntary, but you can, if you want to grab, it'll give you a list of the retailers in the state that sell local products. Shrimp or but yeah, it's not going to be, you know, when you're there, you might find it up there.
Empty net. Yeah, that's what I said. Oh, there's something in there.
Yeah, for those that are from Brunswick, our port here, we are one of the largest roll-off car ports in the United States. I think we're like 2 or 3. Third, number 3.
Who's number 2?
So as I said, what we'll do is we're going to separate everything, and because we have to count, but we can ID our catch. And one thing I try to let people know, they've been running hard. When they,
I hate to have them all die. Do the salt fish,
I keep one shrimp out.
we're going to put most of the shrimp back right away, because of they're closed. Usually we give you guys a little opportunity to head shrimp and do a little practice with them.
It's nice. Want a hand, Brian?
Just picking out some of the unique. This is actually what's called a spotted hake. And the really cool thing about fish, even if you know, and especially as a naturalist, you don't necessarily have to know the name of every single organism. I know we always do, but by just looking at some of its body shape features can give you a good indication. So the fact that it's got these 2 little, boy, they are slimy.
Yeah.
Barbs here. This is going to give you an indication that they tend to hang out towards the bottom. They're going to use those for a tactile sense, both smelling and tasting.
There's one.
So they can actually taste
Yeah, he's
with
a big
those
one.
barbs. Because we're trawling on the bottom, this is a black-cheeked tonguefish. Okay, so this is actually a very common species of bycatch. And when I talk about bycatch, it would be the non-targeted species, not only like the fish, but even if it was a smaller size shrimp, that wouldn't be marketable. And you know, as a shrimper, if I pulled my tri-net for this, I would probably want to move directions because, yeah, you got a few shrimp, but not a lot. So it's a flat fish. It's not actually a flounder by identification yet. And it's really like looking at a microscopic needle and a stack of microscopic needles. Not knowing the basic life history, that's still a challenging issue. To go to the $1 million question, is it affecting the actual shrimp population? We don't know. There's starting to be more and more evidence because you're seeing a lot less shrimp and we have a lot fewer boats. They should be doing well. We're not seeing a lot of shrimp. Have we had winners the past 2 years? Not really here. Water temperatures in the water. There's starting to be some evidence that climatic factors are starting to have an issue. The DNR first recorded blackgill back in the mid-90s. Really since about 2012, 13, we've been seeing a lot more. They found it in white, brown, pink. They found it in Virginia, Texas, South Carolina, and Georgia seem to be the epicenter. It did not affect us. And so the shrimp did not affect the quality of the shrimp, the taste of the shrimp. It just affects the actual health. Because at the end of the day, if you go eat the shrimp at the restaurant, you're eating this. You're not going to see this part of the shrimp. And what we do is the shrimp will eat each other. And it is suspected that when they eat, and if this is affected, they can transfer that ciliate. They've also found that blackgill ciliate in blue crabs, grass shrimp, spider crabs, mana shrimp.
Oh, we got a bunch of crab this
They're
time.
acting as a transfer port, because what's interesting is for other times of the year, this shrimp, for all we know, has blackgill in it. It just doesn't show it, and they know that through molecular detection. But for a period between like March and May, we can't find it. They can't pick it up through the molecular detections. We can't find it in the water column. We can't find it in the sediments, so we're not sure if other organisms are acting as reservoirs. Sea Grant just funded a new project where we're going to start looking at the larval shrimp. When they start making their way into the sounds, we're going to catch those with very fine mesh nets, because obviously you would not use this, to see if the larvae already has the ciliate present when they're coming from offshore into the estuary. Hopefully that's going to give us a better understanding, or is it occurring once they're already here? There's no evidence there's a connection to pollution. Like I said, for the most part, we've got good water quality. We've got crabs.
Lots of crabs.
Lots of crabs. Thanks.
So that's the
Rodwell got so many crabs.
Soft coral.
sea whip.
Oh, the yellow stuff that's in the net? Sea whips. So this is a soft coral, so it's an actual animal. Ooh, we got some diversity here.
Oh, horseshoe.
Lots of crab. Downside about this boat is you got a lot of shadows. So. All right.
Oh, she's full of eggs.
I'm gonna grab this.
We grab you too. So I'm gonna do it because we're gonna get the females with their eggs. So blue crab, this is our second largest fishery traditionally. This is what I was talking about. Now it's a live market. Here's an example of what we call a sponge crab. So what's interesting, when they mate, this is another species that depends on the full extent of our estuaries, from freshwater out to off the beaches. Do we have any males?
Oh yeah, we do have